Hello you lovely people and welcome. In this video I'll be reviewing AT Simulation's Antonov AN-2 Colt. Now it comes in four variations. We have the original Colt here, we have one on floats, we have one with a modified instrument panel with built-in Garmin, and we also have one on skis. Now for this video I'll be using mainly using the original Colt. So if we go into liveries, as you can see, we have quite a few to choose from. If you ignore the Russian and Hungarian Air Force ones there, those are custom ones I've downloaded. We have red, bare white, Antonov Airlines as you would expect, green, dark blue aviators and Xbox aviators. Again, I don't understand these. You might as well have spunk trumpet written down the side of your plane. That's as popular as they are. Bare metal and orange. But as they are just basically different colours, I'll be using the Hungarian Air Force, going for more of a military look. So if we select that, I'm going to be flying around Last Air Base in Poland, which is also an add-on for PC users, and I'll be having a ground tour on it first, and then we'll take it up and have a look. So let's get in the cockpit. Externally, the model itself is absolutely brilliant. Just really well done. AT Simulations have really worked hard at this. The fact that I didn't know an AN-2 was actually going to be released until a few weeks before it was actually released, it shows how either in the dark I was or how quiet they kept it. But they've obviously been at it for a while, because you can tell by the details just a lot of love and attention has been put into this. So yeah, obviously this is the normal AN-2 Colt with normal wheels. We will take a look at the other variants very quickly a bit later. So let's look inside the cockpit. The interior of the rear of the aircraft is actually quite breathtaking. Very nicely modelled, very impressed. Even the little things, including the fire extinguisher and things like that. Obviously that's the cockpit up there. We have the side door for access in and out, and also for dropping paratroopers. We've got our lights up here for the jumps and our static lines there. The cockpit and the rear of the aircraft are split by this door here, which can be opened clicking this button. It doesn't work in showcase mode, unfortunately, and closing and opening the rear door is also done by clicking the button there. So that's the rear of the aircraft. Even coat hooks and things like that. It's absolutely sweet. Going by the website, the cockpit itself was actually done with 3D scanning technology, so it should be as accurate as can possibly be done without actually being the real cockpit itself. And my god, I mean, it is just rammed full of switches. Unfortunately I don't speak Cyrillic. If you do, this will be alright, but this is one of those aircraft where having the labels on unfortunately is a must, otherwise you'll never get the thing started. But looking around, we've got all our window heating switches, primer, things like that at the back here, fuel selector, tank selectors there. We can make the yoke invisible and visible again by clicking here. Get rid of that for now. All of our steam gauges, magneto, starter switch, and starter power, things like that. We've got all of our power switches for all the gauges to fire up, and battery and everything is all down here. And obviously we've got our prop pitch, fuel, trim and everything all down here. Throttle, flaps are very odd in here. There's no lever, there's actually buttons. To retract the flaps, push that button. To extend them, you push that button. Bit of an odd design, but there you go. And there's not much difference in the co-pilot seat to what it is over here, really. Mainly some bigger gauges, and that's about it. We've also got moving visors here. We've got a whiskey compass, which is a valuable source of heading, because unless you set these up properly, that'll be your port of call. Yeah, so let's get to this cockpit dark outside, and we'll show you some of the lighting on the inside. Now, my main reason for showing you the night lighting in this cockpit is just how absolutely beautiful it is. There's only one switch that needs to be flicked on, and that's the UV switch here. Look at that, absolutely beautiful. The effect given by the UV light bouncing off of the paint on the dials, they've nailed it, absolutely nailed it, and I think it looks absolutely superb. Obviously you've got your normal lighting for your instrument dashboards and things like that, but I like to fly on the UV lights just because it's just something really pretty to look at when it's dark outside. But yeah, they've, as I say, they've done a fantastic job of the cockpit in general. Being 3D scanned, I'm not surprised. They've got high resolution textures, and just the detail that they've put in is just, well, it's just top level stuff. The engine sounds themselves are actually recorded from the real aircraft, so they're as accurate as they can be. I'll show you those once we get moving and up in the air. And obviously you're going to wonder about flight dynamics. It was developed in cooperation with real AN-2 pilots, so hopefully flying as close to the real aircraft as possible. So I'm going to switch it back to daytime and get this thing up in the air. Okay, so before we taxi out, let's have a listen to the engine sounds. I mean, it's relatively quiet at the moment, but I am on idle, so let's throttle up. There we go, we're at max chat there, making a lovely clatter. So if we jump on the outside, the sounds themselves are extremely good. Jump back into the cockpit, we're going to shut some doors and get the aircraft moving. Okay, so we're going to get these doors closed. One thing I did forget to show you is that you can flick that switch there and you can give the paratroopers a green light ready to jump. So there is a nice little added detail there. So we're going to close the door here. Right, so we're going to get this thing to the end of the runway. Before we do, make sure that the parking brake is off and your tail wheel lock is disengaged in the down position. It's unlocked, you'll get a red light in the lock position. So parking brake off. Won't need much to get the aircraft actually rolling. hide the yoke here. I'm going to switch on our landing lights. Make sure we are clear. I mean, the view in here is absolutely superb. It's like being in a big greenhouse. Okay. I'm going to set one notch of flap. Our flap gauge is there. Overran that slightly, but not a problem. Put brakes on. Okay, so yeah, our flap gauge is there, so when we drop the flaps, as we do that, it will go further to the maximum of 45 degrees, and then retracting, obviously that button's pushed. There's no lever, so make sure you always look at the gauge. We really won't need a lot to get off the ground, so first stage is flat. Release the brakes and start the roll. Don't know why I've turned this into a tutorial or demo video all of a sudden. Side wind going on today, but we're up already. How's that for short takeoff? Carrier landing in an AN-2. Challenge accepted. So yeah, flaps up. Trim's pretty good on this. I forgot to add that the ground handling is very good. Obviously not to overdo the movements, otherwise you will cause yourself some issues, and it will start to tilt. Air handling is as you would expect. I mean, looking at this big beefy biplane, actually the largest biplane in production, or ever was in production, you wouldn't expect aerobatic characteristics. It definitely gives you a truck-like feeling, nice and heavy. Feels like it's a pretty solid aircraft, as they've proved to be in the past. And yeah, it's a great great little add-on. Bring the throttle down slightly, keep it in the green, in our little gauge there. Okay, and then trimming it out is quite easy. Obviously you get a bit of torque steer, so you're going to need a little bit of right rudder or right aileron, depending on your preference, so that you don't keep turning to the left. But other than that, it's a solid flyer. I mean, it will get you where you need to go with no hassle, as was the plan. I mean, these things were originally built for agriculture and sort of civilian cargo, so having them adapted for use in military was quite a thing. And here comes the interesting fact of my video for today. Before the F-22 became the balloon busting AIM-9 firing beast that it is today, the Soviets actually designed a version of the AN-2 named the AN-2 Alpha, and it was designed to do just that: chase after spy balloons and shoot them down. It was actually armed in there was a turret on the mid upper fuselage just behind the wings, and it was armed to take them down, which I found quite interesting. I never knew that sort of thing. I didn't even know this thing was capable of such high altitudes and to do that job in, you know. So I found that quite impressive, and I thought I'd add that to the video. But yeah, like I say, very solid. The only one weird thing that I can pick on the whole thing, and I don't know if you've noticed it already, but we've got a little wing mirror. image seems to be upside down. I'm pretty sure that is upside down. Yeah, it's upside down. So I'm pretty sure a wing mirror for a pilot would not be upside down. I could be wrong. What do I know? But that does very much look like it's inverted. But that's the only thing I can really pick on. You've got opening windows, small little details. I mean, it's fun. It's just fun to just pick around the cockpit, have a look around. I mean, you can even move your lamps around, switch on the little fans. I can't remember where the switch is. I think it's down here somewhere. Yeah, left fan, there we go. Switch on your little fan there, like you get in the AN-225 Muria. We're going to bring this thing in for a landing. We'll have a quick look at the float variant. I'll show you the instrument panel on the Garmin version, and I will show you the ski variant as well, as it's only fair to add them to the video. So yeah, let's get this thing on the ground, and then we will move on. So easy to fly, it's like dropping a kite. So popular in fact that it's still in service with many air forces around the world, including DPRK and Azerbaijan. And it also, I believe, holds the longest production run of any aircraft of 45 years. So a very impressive aircraft indeed, and a great subject to add to the world of flight sim. So let's have a look at the three other different types, and then we can call it a day. So I quickly changed into the AN-2 with the Garmin instrument panel, so everything looks pretty much the same, and then boom, and there we go. There's the big old Garmin set in the front there with some other switches for your all powered gauges and things. They're all now circuit breakers here, and we've got an ADF radio there, instead of the old manual version. Apart from that, there's no real other big changes that I can tell. But yeah, that's all there is to it basically. That's all internal differences. Yeah, I mean, if you know how to use your Garmin and things like that, then this will be the version for you. I'm more of a steam gauge kind of person, so even though I don't read the language, I'd still use that for my navigation. But yeah, there is this version just to make life a little bit easier for everybody. Obviously that's fitted in privately owned stuff these days. So yeah, that's the Garminized version, as I'll call it from now on, the Garminized version of the AN-2. Right, so I've jumped into the ski variant. Only has one livery, and that's the one you're seeing in front of you, nicknamed Crafty by the looks of things. Quite nicely done actually, and the skis look really well made. I'm going to jump in, do some ground handling to see what it's like with the skis on. So I've taken the parking brake off, although I don't see the point of a parking brake here on snow. Let's get the, yeah. So yeah, that's really nicely done. Unlike the tail wheel, which you could turn on a sixpence, this thing really does feel like you're dragging it through snow. So that's really nicely done. Let's get this thing off the ground, shouldn't take too long. Okay, we're up. Okay, shut the cowl flat so I can actually see what I'm doing. Right. Let's take this around quickly. I just want to see what it's like landing on skis. It's the first time I've done it. Beautiful sunset. There's the airfield down there. What there is of it. This thing must be an absolute delight to fly in real life. To know that you'd be able to get into almost any small spots in such a large aircraft as well. Okay, let's quickly turn in, throttle down, prop pitch back. The inverted mirror. Well, that was painless. Okay, well, that was fun. Okay, so now for the floats. And lastly, the float variant. So, yeah. This is a proper heavy beast. I mean, those floats are absolutely huge. So yeah, I mean, this is the only livery that you actually get with the float variant. Northern Star by the looks of things. Could be French registered. We jump in the cockpit. So as you would expect, being on a body of water, that you aren't able to stay in the same spot as you would on the ground. So this thing it does have a life of its own, as you'd expect, so you have to keep an eye on it while it's idle on the water. So we're going to get this thing up in the air, prop pitch full. Okay, no brakes, so we're just going to throttle up. Shouldn't take too long to get off the water. And we're up. So that was painless. So yeah, not too difficult. Landing on the water would be something completely different. So we're going to cut to that now. Okay, not too bad. So yeah, let's get on to the summary and then we can wrap this video up. So to summarise the AT Simulations Antonov AN-2 Colt, what you get for £12.49 is an absolute steal, a bargain, really well priced for the 4 different variants you get, the absolute level of detail that's put into it. The sounds are spot on. The textures are really high resolution, so they've been nicely done as well. The 3D scanned cockpit is really user friendly as long as you've got the labels on. I know there's a language barrier, but everything is there, everything works, and just a beautiful thing to be sitting in with the UV lights on at night time. And the flight dynamics are well, they've been developed in cooperation with real AN-2 pilots, so it is what it is, a very heavy biplane with ridiculously good short field takeoff and landing. It's a surprise addition. It deserves to be added to Flight Sim. Not a lot of people go to the Colt for any flying preferences, but it's a very popular machine, still very much in use today, both privately, military and commercially, and very welcome indeed. So AT Simulations, thank you, fantastic, and look forward to anything else that you bring to Flight Sim. But yeah, if you've got spare £12.49 floating about and you don't know what to get, I thoroughly recommend the AN-2. I will certainly be flying it a bit more. Very enjoyable. So with that, I've wrapped the video up. If you got this far, thank you very much. A bit long-winded this one because of the different variants. Sorry I haven't been around lately. I've had the worst cold ever and I'm still recovering from it. I don't know if you can tell from my voice. It's taken 5 weeks to get over, and it's not COVID, so I don't know what the hell it is. Very nasty bugs out there. So with that, I will say take care, and yeah, thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.